Okay, so hi Lynette, welcome to our welcome to Love Heals Cancer and ZenOnco.io. I'm Astha from ZenOnco.io. This is a cancer healing journey talks where we invite speakers who have gone through cancer, maybe as a patient, caregiver, or survivor. These CHJs are very close to our hearts because many patients tell us that when we listen to our people's journeys, it inspires us and it helps boost their confidence and gives them hopes that if others have been able to successfully beat the disease, then why can't they? Okay, so thank you so much for joining us today in our cancer healing journey talks. So can you introduce yourself and how did it all begin?
Okay, so thank you for having me. My name is Lynette Vanderhorst. Originally from New York, born and raised in Brooklyn. So just a quick backstory. I became pregnant in 2004. I had a really bad accident 4 months into my pregnancy. So I was bedridden. After I gave birth to my son in March, he was a month early. Um, it was something really different body wise with me. I was younger. I didn't have a lot of people to look to ask these questions. I did have a midwife. So I asked her a couple of questions in the beginning, like, oh, specific questions, like after you give birth, like when is your day that you actually stop? Like, what are your days you stop? So she said it will be about 7 days, longest period that you will stop. I never stopped bleeding after I gave birth. So long story short, I bled out for 6 months straight. Within these 6 months, I was going back and forth to doctors. I had multiple tests done, which I will say vaginal sonogram, ultrasonogram, blood test, MRIs, to a point where my midwife was like, okay, this is something a little outside of her league. So she sent me to a regular general hospital to another doctor. That doctor performed a pregnancy test that came back positive. So I am with a 6-month-old child, 6.5, and the pregnancy test comes back positive. So everybody's looking. I'm like, so that's definitely impossible since I've been bleeding for the 6 months and I have a 6-month-old child and I'm in postpartum. So it's unheard of. So this was like a question mark for myself and for the doctors. So they decided to give me a DNC, which is a removal of maybe extra from your when you give birth. I'm sorry, from when you give birth. So I had a DNC, which actually made the situation worse. And with that DNC, they take the sorry, words got caught up. They take the test of what's in the DNC, and it came back to where it was cancerous. So when that came back cancerous, they were still confused of what type of cancer it was. So where they wanted to send me to their sister hospital, which for me, I won't mention the hospital because I can't for legal wise, but for me, it was more of a cover up for me because it was 6 months and nobody knew what was going on. And these tests were coming back, some positive, some negative, but they were all telling me negative. So for 6 months, I thought I was fine. And it's just maybe the DNC needs to be done and I'll be okay. So once they told me I had cancer, then now, honestly, I don't even think I wrapped my head around it when it was told to me because it was just so much going on. A 6-month-old child, my body is going through postpartum, what's happening? I'm still bleeding, I'm not understanding. So I spoke to my best friend because we both together went through her aunt and some of her family members passing away from cancer. So the hospital I went to was Sloan Kettering. So I sent all of my information. Sloan Kettering, which is in Manhattan, in New York. I'm not sure if many people know about Memorial Sloan Kettering, great hospital. So I sent over my pathology report, and literally within hours, I had the head of oncology calling me saying, "You need to come to the hospital right now," like immediately, which was alarming to me because I didn't feel any different. I wasn't anemic. I didn't have any headaches. I didn't, my body was still the same, but I knew something was going on deep inside. Went to the hospital that evening and I was kept for about 2 weeks. So I was diagnosed with placentile site trophoblastic tumor, which is a gestational tumor. So this tumor is something special. I was the youngest to have it. In layman's terms, it's kind of like the male chromosome and the female chromosome don't kind of match, and they form this tumor outside of your uterus. This tumor is there while you're pregnant. Once you give birth, the tumor goes into your uterus and it feeds off your ACG levels. So for me, it was seen like I was 3 months pregnant after I had my son. So I had a tumor in my stomach by the size of a 3-month-old child at the time of going into the hospital on October 8th. So for them, the best thing was to get chemo automatically. I got chemo that night. Within an hour from chemo, my body started to change and I stopped bleeding immediately from the first round of chemo. So that to me just made me a little bit, I was still taking things in, but it was more set on anger from the past experience with the other hospital, because that told me that this could have ended 6 months prior if someone would have paid more attention, asked more questions, and actually told me the results, the real results of my test. So I went through chemo, no radiation, thank God. So I went through chemo for about 6.5 months. The process through chemo was pretty hard because I lived in Brooklyn. My mother lived in New Jersey, and I'm a single mother. So my trips were from Brooklyn to New Jersey to Manhattan, back to New Jersey every day. Like this is about, within transportation, each route is over an hour and a half. So within transport. My parents helped me out a lot to take care of my son. I had inpatient and outpatient. So one time a week I would go in and get my chemo treatment, and then I would come home. And then another day out of the week, Thursday, I would have to go in and I will stay for 2 days. After chemo treatment was over, remission was February 5th. I found out that I had nodules in my lungs that I had to get removed. So for the typical type of cancer for gestational, it can travel to your below to your legs, or it can go upwards. So mine went to my lungs. So I had to get part of my left lung removed. And after that, more things continued to happen. For some reason, after chemo, my body dramatically started to break down. During chemo, it was weird because I kept my hair, everything was fine. After chemo, my body just went into like full breakdown mode. I had to get numerous surgeries after that because chemo broke down, I would say, my stomach lining, my calcium, my digestive system. It broke down a lot, and it broke down a lot mentally. Mother, I had to be there for myself. I had to be there for my son. And then the transition from losing your hair and your child seeing a different part of you. So it's like, here's mommy, and he's only like 8 months at this time. But then, who is this woman? I'm trying to figure out me. My son is looking at me like, who is this woman? So the identity of becoming from mom to patient to back to mom was huge, huge, huge. The type of cancer I had was difficult because many people, it's easier to say like breast cancer or like colon cancer. I had to have a hysterectomy. So that's a deeper explanation. As a woman, that's like losing your hair is one thing, but your uterus is like, that's being a woman. You birth a child, it's part of a beautiful process. I can no longer do that. I'm a 25-year-old woman with a single woman with one child, and I no longer can have any more kids. So that was a lot for me to digest. I didn't have time to even digest it actually, because things were moving so fast. I still have to raise my son. I still have a transition period to go on to. But the thing that did help me, I'm sorry, guys, something just kind of like in my eye. The thing that kind of did help me was I was coaching women throughout my cancer treatment. My doctor came to me, and it was another young woman who had a similar type of cancer that I had. And I guess my doctor seen something in me, the way I was handling it, and she asked me to speak to her. That initial, I had no problem. So just little old me in my IV bag, my chemo bag, walk to her room, and we have a simple conversation. And honestly, it was the first time where I let go, if it makes sense. I kind of just let whatever I had going on and stepped into her world. And it allowed me to escape for a moment, if it makes sense. And that helping period allowed me to actually continue on that journey. And that's when I formed Single Mothers with Cancer, because there are women married also that actually go through that process. Like when you hear the words, I'm sorry, unfortunately, you have cancer. What is the first thing if you're a mom? My kids. Like who's going to watch them? Who's going to feed them? Who's going to pick up? It's like all of that went through your head, even though they said you had to, like, there's something in front of you that you really are going to have to fight your hardest to get over. But it's like, as a mother, I was like, okay, Pampers. I was running all of this through my mind, and it was so heavy. It was so heavy, but I didn't have all the time through this process. In the moment of having the chemo sessions, I didn't have time to really process it. So all the processing really happened afterwards. So I wanted to help women process that in the moment, because after the moment, it's kind of hard to kind of go backwards and change anything that you could have changed if you had some help in the beginning. So what I do for women is I coach them from the beginning. Many women come to me when they first initially hear the words or have that doctor's appointment. And I kind of just sit them down and give them the side of the patient side, what doctors really don't tell you, because honestly, there's not a lot of cancer advocates inside of hospitals, that liaison, where once the patient hears those words, those daunting words, who's to walk that patient through the process? What's your insurance, transportation, daycare, medication, understanding the medical genre? They give you pamphlets on pamphlets on pamphlets. But where's the social worker? Where's the liaison? I wanted to be that person, regardless of what doctor, what hospital, what country, what state you're in. I can be your liaison. Come to me. You ask me. They ask me questions from what to expect. That's the first thing. What to expect, and I ask them. I will tell them first off, you're gonna expect, like, your face will look like mine right now, like, because it's gonna be a lot of information thrown at you. But I do also, I tell them honestly, the family and friends that are around you now may not be there in days or weeks or months. So I want to help them build up that confidence and that strength within starting that initial conversation. I'm honest with them. Everybody's situation and everybody's story is different, but usually I like to put that in forefront, because you rely on your families and friends when you're going through this. Someone to cry to, someone to pick up food, someone to hold your hand, and those people sometimes don't mean it, but they kind of dwindle off. They have their own personal things going on, but then it's hard for us to wrap our head around it. Like, where are they? Why you don't call? Why you don't pick up? So you have to learn extra strength. Now I'm battling cancer. I'm battling friendships. I'm trying to be a mom. I'm trying to be a friend. I'm trying to be a daughter. And it's something that a lot of women are still, like myself, you still 15 years later plus, you're still going through that process, because it doesn't really, it leaves you, but it still sits in the back of your mind when you get a little sickness or a little extra cough or extra pain. What is it? I'm at the doctor immediately and they like, you're fine. I'm like, okay, cool. So it's there. It's that little piece in the back of your head that never leaves. I don't walk with it every day. I don't take it with me every day, every moment, but just when that little things happen, and that's why the single mother with cancer is there, not just for the other women, but for me as well. They help me as much as I help them. I actually travel, so there's women in other states and countries who family members reach out to me and say, "Hey, I don't know what to do." Like, her attitudes change, her moods change. She's very angry. She's very, they just don't understand the patient or the person she's become. So I walk them through it. There's patients that's in hospice where I will go and visit them and make memory trips. So the family will reach out to me, and whatever their wishes are, we make those memories. Um, I do personal baskets. The family may reach out and I'll speak to them and I'll say, okay, so what does this person like, love, colors, and send them something nice. Sometime I show up. I had I don't like to call them patients. I just call them sisters. So I had a sister where I showed up at her chemo session. She was going through a pregnancy where the doctor was telling her between her and her baby. She chose her child, and her child, survived, no medical issues, but it was hard for her. So I flew down, just to be by her side, to hold her hand, to have another woman who actually went through what she went through hold her hand. It's just something that I love to do. I have a phone service which is 24 hours. I know how it is to sit up at night with stomach pains, with those thoughts, and you could call your best friend, you could call your mom, you could call a lot of people, but the person who actually knows what you've been through is something totally different. Knowing that what you're saying is not complaining. I've had patients that say they families and friends think they're complaining or they're doing too much or they're being extra. Until you walk in, I don't until you walk in our shoes, I would say I wouldn't even think you can even process it because it's something that we don't even want to process. It's hard for us to process. But all I say is no judgment. So I live by the no judgment rule. Um, in the meaning of the fact, because we all go through different things in life. I wouldn't judge you when we in the time of COVID. So people went through a lot through COVID. It was a non-judgment rule. So the same thing when someone's going through, we get more respect now, I think, because people can now see what we went through, those times in the hospitals, being alone, being by ourselves, and being scared. So a lot of people now I do see, and I do hear a lot of patients saying it's unfortunate that COVID did come around, but they're getting a better understanding from people because there were patients that couldn't go to work, but couldn't go to work or couldn't eat properly a certain food. And like, family and friends will look like, okay, so you're in remission for like 10 plus years. They don't get it. Yeah, my body's in like I don't have to take chemo anymore, but my body is still not even it's still processing depending on the period, but my body has not recognized that yet. So I would say all in all, the process of going through having cancer, going in remission, aftercare. Like I can talk for a lot. I'm trying to just speed it all. Like even aftercare was hard for me. I wasn't even told that before I immediately left like the hospital or left any type of services to sign up for aftercare. Once you some programs, not all, but once you leave some hospitals, it's hard for you to get into an aftercare program. So weird because aftercare is for years and years and years to come. Why is my aftercare on a time limit? So it's I've been looking for different programs to get into aftercare for myself. That's another reason why I keep single mothers with cancer continue on, like continue growing. I'm in October 22nd of this next month. I'm doing a retreat. So it's a 1 day retreat. It's a hiking retreat here in New Jersey. Where the women would do meditation, they would do yoga, they would bond a sisterhood. It would be different energy building activities and personal activities, journaling, just so women would know you have me, you have your sisters. If I'm not here, there's other women you can bond with, so you can bond that whether it's text message, Zoom, a Zoom call, shopping, grocery, whatever it may be that you may need help with. I'm here, but you also have a community of sisters that can help you and be with you. We don't have a community. Like when I would say a bond community, because there are people that say they're there and then disappear. Like it's so hard in that way to kind of like trust people with your secrets or your story or your personal journey because you can give it. I can give my journey to someone and dish it out and give my energy and my all, and then they're gone. So it's like it's hard to keep giving out that energy. So I always 100% protect my energy. So that's why single mothers with cancer is like a serious bond for me. Like I'm here. I don't care. If you don't speak to me in 2-3 months because you were going through something or you needed your space, you can still call me. Fine. I understand. I was you. I'm still you. Like I get it. If you wake up 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and you're in insomnia, that is me. If because now I'm going through menopause. That is me. So I understand you. I understand. I'm 41 and I'm just like, what do you mean I'm menopause? I was in pre-menopause. Like it's been 2 years. Like I'm still here. Like I don't understand that either. So it's like other women that's been there before me, I ask them and they can explain it for me. And that helps me out. They've been it before me. So the sisterhood helps me and it helps them.
That's so positive. I'm getting so much of positive vibes from that, and it was really nice. Yeah, so I had a question that, as you told that you were bleeding, for many months. So, like, did you have any other pre-existing comorbidities or any family history in cancer?
No. That's the thing. I was the first person in my family to actually have cancer. After that, actually, my cousin contracted cervical cancer. God bless her soul. She passed away from her illness. But yeah, and it was just so far just been me and her. So that form of cancer is really weird because you have to be pregnant in order to get this type of cancer.
Right. Okay. So, as you told that you underwent chemotherapy, and also, like, would you explain a bit more, like, what exact treatment did you undergo?
Meaning so I was in stage 4 when I went in. So I had the strongest rounds of chemo. Off the top of my head, I can't remember the exact names of the actual chemos that I had, but I had 4 rounds on one day during the week, and then on that Thursday I would have 6 rounds. So that's why I would stay at night. So Tuesday I would go in. So my day will start maybe at 9 a.m. So I will go in at 9, and sometimes I'll leave about 10 o'clock at night. So it's a full 24-hour like treatment. Thursday you will go in, you would get your test. Maybe if you would get an updated X-ray, depending on your stage, to see where your tumor is at, what's going on. And then I will have 2 rounds in the morning, 2 rounds in the afternoon, and then 2 rounds in the evening. So they had to be spaced out in a way because of the stage that I was in, and then me not knowing that the actual tumor traveled to my lungs, so it had to be separated to actually attack it both like together. So I went in for treatment in October. November, I was told that I had to have the hysterectomy. So it was like a month, yeah, like a month and a half later. Yes.
Okay. So, like, did you face any other side effects and comorbidities during your treatment, like, especially after the treatment?
Okay, so during the treatment, I got dehydrated a lot because I was a caffeine fiend. So for the chemo treatment that I took, so that's the thing why I did it, because I got a lot of pamphlets. I went through so much, I didn't read them all. Not gonna lie, probably didn't read any. Because there was so much going on. So part of that treatment was lower your caffeine. Many times when you go through chemo, lower or stop your caffeine because it will dehydrate you at some point. So I went through dehydration. I went through a lot of nausea. I went through swelling, and a lot of headaches. I did. Other than that, going through chemo was pretty. It was a roller coaster, depending on the day I went in. So sometimes I went in and I was fine that day, and then the next day, it'll be maybe 2, 3 days later, I will get sick. So it was a lot of nausea, a lot of headache, a lot of body pain, a lot of aches, a lot of arm and hand pain, because you have these huge IVs in your arm. So the fact that my veins got burnt out, so I have like one hand, one arm you no longer can really use. Whew, what else I mean, everything. My body felt it all, everything. And I will say music saved me so much, so much, so much. If it wasn't for music, I don't know where I probably would have, because I needed it. I needed it.
Yeah.
Even eating like a simple apple. I learned I can't even eat apples anymore. I ate apples before. I don't eat apples at all anymore. I can't even digest them now. So it's like little things from then trickled over to my lifelong living. So there's things that doing chemo affected me to where it's going to, I learned to live with it. I was told these are things that it's going to be there forever. Like I got arthritis from it, to where I got neuropathy, so where my fingers and my like they burn. I got sciatica. I have a lot of things that I can say. Like I had stomach surgery, so I had the right side of my colon removed. So I eat different than people. I only digest through my left side. I have one left lung, so I can't walk and run or take a lot of heat.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I mean, looking at me, I can tell you it's a lot going on inside, but I don't try to let that affect the outside, because it's like I try to keep a balance if I can. I'm not perfect. The balance over trickles sometimes, and sometimes I need my me time, but yeah.
Yeah, it must be so tough. So, did you try any alternative treatment?
I didn't. At that time, I would say 2005, it was a different era than now. It wasn't a lot of holistic being taught or being given. I did do acupuncture. I did that. It was offered in a hospital. I do say it works. I do it now for pain management. I wish I did, honestly. I was on a lot of medications, a lot of medications. I stopped taking medication, I would say about close to 4 years ago, unless it's truly needed. I'm a prime and huge advocate of medical marijuana. I wish I was introduced to it when I was going through chemo. I think it would have helped me so much, especially with the gas after surgery. It is some of the worst pain I think I experienced in my life. Like I had my lung removed, and I can compare it to the gas pain after surgery. I wish I had more pain management offered to me at that time. More holistic healing, meaning of just meditation, maybe. Just someone coming to that. I wish I had that at that time. That's why I offer it. But yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I have also heard like medical marijuana, you're talking about medical cannabis, so it helps in pain management. Like,
Yes,
yeah,
it helps so much. I didn't realize that until later, years later, where I actually looked into it and spoke to my doctor. So both of my doctors know, and
yeah,
I actually explained to them like, you have no idea how much that helps me with appetite, pain. It helps a lot. I get migraines. It helps with that as well.
right.
Helps a lot. It helps a lot.
Yeah. So, like, how did you manage your emotional and mental well-being, like, during the treatment?
I'm still managing it. Doing treatment, it was fast forward. So in moments, it was really fast forward for me because it went from 6 months of being a mom, bleeding, not knowing what's going on. So boom, I'm October. I'm in the hospital. I have no control. I have no control over what's happening with my son right now because he's with my parents. So meaning control over the day to day, the minutes to minutes, the hours to hours. I had to let go. I had to let go of whatever those 9 to 10 to 12 hours and those days I'm away from my son. I had to learn to let go, and I had to allow someone else to raise my infant child, which was so hard for me. Um, the most difficult time was when I had my lung surgery. I wasn't able to hold my child. So difficult. Like when I went home, they would tell me, okay, rest. After hysterectomy, rest. I mean, you had a hysterectomy. I didn't rest. Like I held my child, I cleaned, I bathed, I took care of him
Mm.
because it was mommy mode. I was in pain, yes, but I was in mommy mode.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. I would say I took it day by day.
Yeah,
Um, I only really kind of dealt with what I had to deal with in the moment. I did look ahead of, meaning I pre-planned, I will say. I did get my schedule for treatments, which really did help me. So I was able to feel more calmer and more in control, if that makes sense. I kind of allowed more people to help me than I usually would. Um, Transportation wise, I got transportation. I was more of let me do it because I wanted to do it. I also made sure I kept doing, tried to keep doing my regular schedule, meaning if I was to get nails done, hair done, I didn't want to kind of like just stop exactly 100% of who I was. So I did keep a look. I think that kept me afloat, staying around some of the natural people and kind of like tried to keep my life kind of the same. I wasn't working at that time, so which was good. I didn't have to like have that stress of like reporting to work, but more of it was really like, I'm gonna be honest, it was so fast forward for me that after everything was done, I started to process.
right.
Honestly, yeah.
That was a lot. So, like, what were the things that helped you the most during the treatment? Like, during your entire journey, in fact?
It was music. And my son, 100%, of course. Um, it was no like video call then, 2005, there was no video call. We didn't Zoom. Oh my gosh. So it was his photos that I kept. Like we used to There was no phone. I could flip through my photos back then. We had phone, we had phone, but it wasn't like technology is now. So it was more photos. It was so good when people came and visit, because then people can actually stay in the hospital with you, sleep over if they wanted to. And it was music. The artist that actually, honestly, that helped me through it, that I kept on repeat, was the singer Monica. She had this song called Still Standing. And when I first heard the song, it resonated to me. And actually, that is the words for my nonprofit, Still Standing. Like, no matter what I went through, I came out still standing. I'm still standing. I'm still going through the process. I'm going to stand tall going through the process. And I'm going to stand tall and hold my sister's hands so they could be able to stand tall next to me. Like, it was music. Whatever pain I had on, whatever pain I was enduring, I would just put on music. I think every nurse in that hospital and whoever I room with can tell you it
Yeah,
was music. It was music. Yeah. They would hear me in the hallways, because there will be people up late at night, walking the hallways. Or I don't think many cancer people, our schedule is so off. So
right.
yeah, music, 100%.
That's great. Did you make any lifestyle changes during or after your cancer journey?
I did. Eating habits first. Told you I was a caffeine lover. Cut that out. I had to go to a gastrologist. So we went through my process of changing my food habits. So now constantly I don't, trying to see how I can explain it so it makes sense to you guys, because I'm supposed to eat. All right, so say you have a plate of food. I'm supposed to portion mine into four. So I'm supposed to eat a portion every hour, if it makes sense. So my stomach is able to digest it due to the fact I had the stomach issues prior to, and I had the colon removed. So with that being, trying to think how I can explain it. I had to stick. All right. Let's go back. So all caffeine was cut out.
Yeah,
All green foods, so all green vegetables. So I had to cut out all broccoli or spinach, anything green. That was a process, because you need your greens, you need your proteins. No bananas, no apples, no citrus. Still, all these are all things I can't eat. No meat, no turkey, no processed. So I kind of went into changing my total way I eat, timing. I don't know how I got tripped up this now. I'm trying to see how I can explain it to you so I don't sound so confusing.
no, it's not confusing. I'm getting it.
Yeah, I had to. The old me used to eat whatever I want. Let's just put it that way. I used to eat
Yeah,
whatever I want with think of no consequences. That's how I could say. Think of no consequences. Everything I eat, I think about it first. No matter what I'm cooking at home or where I go out to eat, I have to think about, what am I going to eat? Like, I can't drink any soda. So it's all water. I have to watch my sugar intake. I have to watch my protein intake, because I can't have too much protein, but I have to have just enough protein. I have to watch my fiber intake.
hmm.
I can't drink a lot of water, a lot of liquids. Um, it will take me, I would say, a bottle. Say if I had a cold bottle of water, it would take me a couple of hours to finish it,
Hmm.
because of the pain that I will feel in my stomach to drink like liquids. Liquids for some reason give me an issue. Um, I'm still going to my gastro now, because I still have some issues. I have some esophagus issues also from being for going through so much trauma. So I have a lot of inflammation. So
Yeah,
that starts with eating habits as well. So a lot of sugar, no spicy foods, nothing with
okay.
citrus and stuff like that. So I eat a lot of ginger though, to kind of like soothe down
It's that.
the
Hmm.
aspects of it. So yeah, a lot of ginger. So I kind of I went a lot more on a healthy way, if it makes sense. So I really took a health journey. Hence why I want to do the retreat, to ask, women, how do they live? How do they eat? How can I help them change and show them the ways that I change? I'm not perfect. I'm still on my journey, but show them my journey, and me little things that I've done and said and went through can help them as well.
Yeah, right. These were a lot of changes. So, like, what were your top three learnings from your journey?
Mm, My top 3 learnings was stay grounded, stay in the moment, stay in the moment. The moments is what helped me. I can go back into my journey and give you special moments. I can give you journal. I would say journal. I didn't start journaling until I would say 3 months after I initially started chemo, and it helped me so much to actually get out my feelings. Journaling wasn't just in a book. If I had my phone next to me, if I had whatever I had, I used for journaling. I still do that. It helps me a lot to get out. I have to get out those emotions because not I didn't have someone to speak to all the time to understand what I was going through. So I had to get it out so I can process it and understand it. Um, During that process, it was. I'm sorry. Give me the question one more time.
Yeah. The question was that what were your top 3 learnings from your journey?
Being grounded, staying focused,
Yeah,
positive, staying positive, finding your positive thoughts. Like
definitely.
it's nothing right. Finding those positive thoughts, whatever your thoughts may be,
Mm.
whatever you need to zero in on to kind of keep your mind focused. Like I use the music to kind of like steer my head away from the moments that may have been pain or whatever. So I would say stay positive. It helps you a lot. It helps your body fight. Mind over matter is a
Right.
big factor of mind over matter. If you literally think it and try your best, it can work. Like I had to do that a lot and learn. Meditation helped me with that as well. Learning how to do the mind over matter factor because your mind trips you up a lot going through this process, and your body is taking more control and going faster than your mind can even comprehend. So those positive thoughts and staying trying to keep it together, which is hard. It's not easy. You're gonna have your breakdown moments. I did, but positive thoughts help. It really does.
Definitely, positivity helps a lot. So, like, what message would you like to give to cancer patients and caregivers?
Wow. What I would like to give the special message to cancer patients is you don't have to process everything in the beginning. That's what I would say. I would say take your time and process. Take your time to be in the moment. Take your time to listen. Ask all the questions that you need to ask your doctor. Ask if they have a cancer advocate or a liaison, or if they have not say a therapist, or they have any type of help within the facility or outsource that can help you. Ask them. Make sure. I also make sure your insurance is correct. That's the major thing. So I did have help with my insurance. Ask the hospital if they have a department that helps you with that. They have social. Some hospitals have social workers. The social worker can help you with that. Reach out for help. Don't feel embarrassed. Um, Cancer is now a word that's been spoken by many. So there's some help out there. I'm here to help. Um, love on yourself. Don't be afraid to love on yourself. Don't be afraid to take me time. Don't feel away if you need a week, days, months. If you need your me time, because you're now processing the new you. You have the you before cancer, you have the you through, and you have the aftercare cancer, and then you have the you after the aftercare, if that makes sense. So
Right.
take time for you. Like understand in order to get help from someone, in order for your family and friends to kind of go with you on your journey, understand you. Take your time to process those moments. Have your cry moments. That's why journaling kind of helps because it helps you get out those emotions. Everything is going through your head, but as you're writing them down, you start to understand it a little bit more, and you can go back and read those thoughts because yesterday's thoughts may not be today's thoughts. So you go back and to read to kind of understand and just let go along with your process. Don't let your process take you over, if that kind of makes sense. Like literally try to stay in your moment, try to stay positive, your outcome, you never know your outcome. My outcome was not what they told me it was going to be.
Yeah.
I kind of steer for everybody outcome is not the same, but I kind of steer for it my outcome kind of in the way that I wanted it to be. I had even doctors and nurses around me saying opposite of what I believe. Like, I know my body. You know your body, you know your strength, you know your weaknesses. I know what my body could endure, so I pushed my body a little further because I wanted my body to heal in a proper and a faster way of just kind of like staying still. If you can outsource maybe some holistic help, if that's something that you particularly care for, maybe some acupuncture, maybe some meditation can help also. Some time alone, like the music, and I use sage and I like my crystals, and that's what I like. I say maybe look into that. Try to find what works for you. Reading helps a lot too. Reading takes your mind away, puts you into another story, someone else's story for a minute, and you can let your story be behind you for a second. Um, yeah, I would say be positive and take your me time. I'm a huge, huge advocate on me time.
Yeah, that's really helpful. This would help a lot of cancer patients. So I have one last question from you. Is it's that if you have to, sum up your entire journey in one sentence, what would that be?
Hmm, my entire journey in one sentence. I would say going through cancer was a hard journey for me, but at the end, I found out my true purpose. My true purpose. Actually, cancer was a bad and good thing for me. Going through cancer was a hard journey for me, but at the end, I found my true purpose.
Yeah, that's truly
Actually,
inspiring.
yeah, I found out exactly who and what I wanted to do, and it took me some time to figure it out. And I was like, why me? Why? Can't? But at the end, I found out like I love doing what I do. Like, love it. I can do it every day, all day, and giving back. And this is something I've truly, truly love what I do. So that's what I get.
Yeah, that's really very inspiring. So it was really inspiring listening to you, and thank you very much for sharing your experiences with us. And I wish you all the best in all your future endeavors, and take care.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it. Thank you for taking the time out to listen to my story and my journey. I hope my story can help other women. If they need any help, they can definitely reach out to Single Mothers with Cancer. It's SMWCINC on Instagram. I will relay all the information to you, no matter where you at or what you're going through or what process you're in. I'm here to help you and give you any type of resources that I can.
Yeah, that's really helpful, and it's a great initiative. So thank you so much.
Thank you.